Hey, it's winter in Minnesota, what can I say? Hey guys, it's Joseph, owner and operator, creator of the Mosquito Creek Lumber Company On30 narrow gauge swamp logging railroad. And my last video about the fold down layout extension, a lot of you guys have been commenting on that, and that's prompted me, or having questions, that's prompted me to want to do a follow-up video on the fold down table or railroad extension. I say table because I did something similar in our camper van, and I'll show you that here in just a little bit. So coming up, we'll take a look at that. So we'll get into the details a little bit more in depth on these brackets and how to get them, where to find them. And speaking of links, I'll also put a link to our Mosquito Creek Lumber Company merchandise store. You can click on that and get those t-shirts or hats, but you can get like drink cups and coffee cups and things. You've seen me use a Mosquito Creek Lumber Company coffee mug, and you can get one of those for your very own by going to that store too. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Hit the like button on all the videos and be sure to get the notification bell ringing, because that way you'll know when I put out a brand new video on the Mosquito Creek Lumber Company OM30 narrow gauge swamp logging railroad. So let's get into discussing a little bit more about this extending layout fold down section thingamajigger, whatever you want to call it. Let's go. So if you go over to Amazon and you search folding shelf brackets, or you follow the link that's in the description below in this video, you'll find that there's a whole selection of brackets and sizes and weight limits and things like that for you to choose from. The one that I have is a 16-inch length, and it holds up to 550 pounds, which is, I think, a little bit generous for that, but maybe so with a couple different ones. The key is to have a solid base for your layout extension, and by that I mean a good quality piece of plywood. I wouldn't make it out of just a regular board or anything, because the plywood, such as the birch ply that I'm using for my extension, is very strong and high quality. And if you use a piece of just plain old like 1x6 or something, you're looking at the possibility of it warping, it splitting. It's softer wood, so it's not going to hold up as well. My fold down section is 23 inches long by about 7.5 wide. Now you can make them longer. Mine I didn't make longer because, well, I want to be able to get into the closet and open the door into the train room while that extension is up. If I made it as long as I wanted to, then I wouldn't have been able to do that. So that was kind of the criteria I had. Also, the other criteria is it can only be as long as the height of your layout benchwork, because if you make it any longer, then it's not going to fold down flat against the end of your railroad. Now we're going to take a little field trip out to my camper van, and I'm going to show you how I use those same folding brackets for a little bit wider table in the van, but it's the same principle. Let's go out and bundle up, because it is Minnesota in the middle of January. It's a little bit cold. So let's go out to the van and check that out. So I'm taking us out to our van, and I want to show you what we did with using 2 of those Amazon shelf brackets. This is just a fold-up table that I made using 2 of those long brackets. And I think you can do the same thing. This table, not sure, it's right about 15 inches wide, but you can see how stable that is. And it's just connected in there with two of those brackets, and it releases the same way. Hey, it's winter in Minnesota, what can I say? All right, so here is the bracket the way it comes from Amazon. Open it up here. And they do give you a couple of nylon anchors and a couple big screws. There's another one in there. Get out of there. So technically you could anchor this into sheetrock, a sheetrock wall, but I think normally we wouldn't be doing that because we'd be coming off of our wooden bench work in our layout. So this has a small section which goes against the wall or the layout with 3 screws, and then you can get varying lengths of bracket to use. The longer the better, I think, because that gives you more support underneath, but they have them from 8 inches up into, I think it's 20 inches, which would give you a really good amount of shelf support. They're pretty sturdy and made out of aluminum. You can get them in black too if you want. Just depends on what you're looking at. Click and down they go. So this bracket that I've got for mine is the 16-inch one, and I'm only using one because the layout extension is relatively narrow. A wider section, I'd recommend doing 2 of these. And I think the key is to be able to get them anchored in solid, and then we can shim up and make sure that it doesn't have side-to-side sway or anything like that. The other thing, it was kind of wobbly, the table, the extension, with just the one bracket. So I put a couple of pieces, support pieces, directly underneath the extension. So here are the 2 support pieces that I put in. You can see it's kind of wobbly without it. Those click in. With those support pieces in there, it gives it pretty good stability. And then put a little bit of a strip of strip wood in there to really give me very little play in that. That way, when the tracks are connected up, when you lift up your extension, they'll line up real nice, and there won't be a lot of lateral or up and down movement there. So that's a good point if you're going to be doing this, is make sure that you have a very solid mounting place for that bracket. There, that's helping with the stability. That's good. Fill that gap in just a little bit. So there you have it. It's as easy as that. If you have some basic woodworking skills, can saw a piece of plywood and screw in a bracket, you got it pretty much made. It's pretty easy, and I hope you'll use that on your layout as well. So that's about it for this episode. Thanks so much. Tell your friends about Mosquito Creek Lumber Company On30 layout. Be sure to check out the links in the description for our merchandise shop and for the link to get you your brackets. And be sure to subscribe. We appreciate it. And again, as we get towards the 1,000 mark, I'll be giving you details on a big drawing that we're going to have for some of that free merchandise with Mosquito Creek Lumber Company logo on it. So be watching for that one coming up soon. And thanks so much. We'll talk to you next time.